Hello, everyone. This is Chino Rodriguez, and today I'm going to be covering the key to success in a help desk environment. As with anything, I truly believe that the biggest, biggest contribution to success in any scenario or relationship, whether it be personal or professional, is attitude. And I love this logo that I found on the internet. It's called A Winning Attitude. And so as long as you have a positive attitude and you approach anything in a positive way, you should always have positive results. One big thing that I learned working in help desk is customer service. You're going to get a bunch of different scenarios. Everything from, the quick in and out, I fixed it, to individuals that, are irate or there's possibly some downtime and managers are, going nuts trying to, get the system back up on the phone with the vendors, whatever the case may be. Um, so whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. You always want to display excellent customer service. It all starts with your attitude. If you're all attitude, then you'll be successful at whatever you do, because you're always going to approach things in a positive way. You can't let different scenarios um, change your way of thinking, change your attitude, change the way you're gonna continue um, to perform your support or your relationship with whoever you're working with. You want to make sure that you always have a positive mindset. Now, this can impact customer service as well as your support structure. You got to think about it. If a person calls in and you're displaying a poor attitude, you're already um, representing the company in a negative way. So whatever organization you're representing, uh, that's who they see initially, and they're like, man, this support desk sucks, and you don't want that. Um, the second thing is um, the structure. So if they get that negative attitude and they're already thinking negative about you, when they call in, they're gonna have um, that negativity already in their mindset, and they're gonna treat the other help desk analysts or support individuals the same, and they're going to talk either negative about you or about the support desk, and it can affect the structure. Now, on the flip side, think about it. You give them a wonderful experience. It doesn't matter what the problem is. By the end of the day, they will probably forget what they called in for, but they will never forget the way you treated them. And so it could be anything as simple as, resetting a email password all the way to the system actually being down with, serious downtime and a much more serious scenario. But the one thing that I guarantee you is that if you give them a poor attitude or you give them bad customer service, they're not going to forget that. They're going to be having lunch 1 week later with someone else from the company or the organization, and be like, you know what, I called in and ex-employee, man, oh man, were they horrible to talk to, It's like, you don't want that. Now, on the flip side, you give them great customer service, that's something to build on. They're going to talk about that, and it's going to reflect with other employees, and so they're gonna talk about that good experience that they had with you. And not only that, when they call in, they're gonna be, I get that all the time. People call into our help desk, they're like, may I please speak to Chino? And I'll be on the phone with someone else, and whoever is taking the support call will be like, well, he's currently busy. Is there something I can help you with? And it doesn't matter whether you know the scenario or not. They'll say, well, I'm used to talking to Chino. He knows my issue. Can you please have him call me back? And so that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that clientele pretty much. People are going to start asking for you. Your coworkers are going to want to know, hey, what are you doing differently that I'm not doing that they're asking for you? And that's how it starts affecting the support structure. And so once you start, showing that positive attitude and helping them and going that extra mile, and you truly show them that you care, about their scenario or their issue, they're not going to forget that, and they're always going to remember you, you know? And so when they call in, the other support people are going to start getting jealous. They're going to be like, "Hey man, what are you doing? What are you doing different that I'm not?" And just that's excellent opportunity right there to build. And so you take that opportunity, you say, "Well, I'm just always friendly, I make sure that I paraphrase, that I listen to them. I make sure that, that I truly show a keen interest." And they'll start picking up on that, and then you start strengthening your support structure. And so not only do you strengthen your customer service, and you strengthen that customer experience, which is huge. You're also going to strengthen your support structure. So remember that. And one last thing that I want to leave you with: never, under any circumstances, doesn't matter what the scenario is, never speak negative about another coworker. If they say that, they're calling in for you or whatever, don't get upset. Don't say anything negative. Or let's say you lost a bet with your coworker and you're upset with them for the day. Never speak negative about anyone in your organization, because it makes you look bad. I mean, it shows poor character, and it also reflects on the company. So you want to make sure that under no circumstances you ever say anything negative about another coworker. One thing that I learned in in a customer service class that I took a very long time ago, is that you either put a person up or you don't put them up at all. And basically, what that means is that you're either going to say something positive about your coworker to build them, so that when that person speaks to them, in other words, let's say that I have to clock out right now, and someone else is coming in to pick up the shift for tech support, and the customer is like, hey, I got this issue. And you're like, I apologize. I'm ready to leave. I'm creating a ticket right now. And X employee is going to go ahead and take care of you. Um, at that point, you're either going to build them or you're not going to build them. And so you're going to say, X employee is a great person. So I'll say, hey, you know what? Lamar, he's an excellent customer support rep. He's going to take care of you. I mean, he knows his stuff. He's been with the company for a while. You start seeing positive things. So if that person is irate, by the time they get to that customer support rep, in this particular scenario is going to be Lamar, they're going to be a little bit more eased. They're going to be like, wait a minute, Chino said that this person knows their stuff, and they're going to help me out. And so you're building that other person. And so it's already creating a positive transition for that individual that's calling in. Now, if you absolutely know for sure that that person has a poor attitude and they're just not a friendly person to talk to, or, they just don't like their position and they're just, ready to go to another company or whatever the case may be, at that point you don't build them, because then you lose credibility. So you don't say nothing negative, you just don't say nothing at all. So in this scenario, let's say that Lamar had a poor attitude and I knew it because people would call in and complain, and I've heard some of his calls or whatever the case may be. Then when I do that transition, I would tell the customer, hey, um, I created a ticket. Lamar's going to help you with it. But I wouldn't build that person. I wouldn't say something positive if I know that that person is not a positive person, that they're not a friendly person, because the minute that they start displaying that negative attitude and they're perceived by the individual that called in as a negative person, they're going to think about your credibility. They're going to be like, you know what? Chino lied to me. Why did he do that? They're going to think that you did it deliberately, or that you meant to put him in that scenario. So you don't want to do that. And so you either put him up by saying something positive and you build that transition, or you don't say nothing at all. And I apologize. I said that was going to be the last thing, but I just remembered one more thing that I wanted to share, and that's to be honest. So if you don't know the answer to something, be honest with the individual. Don't start making stuff up or trying to look stuff on the internet and come up with something bogus. The best thing that you can do in a scenario where you don't know what's going on or you don't know the technology as well, or perhaps you do, you just haven't done it in a while and you've forgotten some steps, you're honest with the individual that calls in. So you want to say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, um, I understand, that you're upset about this. I apologize. I'm going to be working on it. Unfortunately, you know, I don't know how to fix that, or I don't know, um, the workflow for this. However, I'm going to get a person to help you, or I'm going to look into it. I mean, you don't want to pass the buck. The buck ends here. You typically want to take ownership of every call that comes in. But if it's something outside of your scope, or it's something that you truly don't support, or something that someone else would be better taking ownership of, then you let that individual know. Say, you know what, um, this isn't my area of of expertise. However, you know, I have Jane over here. Um, she's excellent at that particular issue. She knows how to repair it in an instant. That's her area of expertise. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer you to her. I know that you're in good hands, and you let them know. But the last thing you want to do is lie to an individual that's calling in, because that's gonna ruin your credibility. So remember, if you don't know the how to resolve an issue, or how to handle that situation um, at that particular moment, just be honest. Say, hey, you know what? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm gonna find out for you. Okay? What's a good number that I can call you back at, or what's a good email, or you let them know, and that shows credibility, and it's gonna go very far in the long run. So that's all I have. Hopefully you enjoyed this session, and thanks for watching.